Okay, 3G Nation, good afternoon. What I want you to do today, and the sub will, if they have not already, they will pass this paper out. But I want you to complete by the end of the block just a good review of everything we've talked about so far in chapter 12. So if you recall, the first section we did frequency distributions. And then the second section, we did our graphs, all those pie charts, column charts, bar graphs. Our third section, we did mean, median, mode, variance. And then the assignment that was due today was the measures of variation, which is variance and standard deviation. So let's take a look at this problem today. It's the list of the Indianapolis Colts victories season by season since they moved to Baltimore moved from Baltimore in 1984. Did you know that about the Colts? That they have not always been in Indy. They used to be the Baltimore Colts. So 34 seasons. Well, actually, I forgot to update it. I didn't put last year's win total, so that's okay. We'll just go with that. Now you can see they started off pretty slow. Started off pretty rocky. It's a 16-game season, and the victory totals were not that high, but couple of benchmark dates in Colts history. Of course, you can see the win totals started to escalate all of a sudden in 1999. And what happened in 1999 for the Colts? That's right, Peyton Manning was drafted and began his multi-year run as the Colts quarterback. In fact, he lasted all the way till about right here. And I believe that was his final year as a Colt. And then it went down south. It went down the toilet in 2011. And then that's, of course, when we were able to draft Andrew Luck in 2012. And we've had some good years, but then some not so hot years recently. But anyway, Peyton did win a Super Bowl in 2006 versus who was it? The Chicago Bears. But anyway, so I want you to do a grouped frequency distribution with 5 classes, a grouped frequency distribution. Now, does that involve a pivot table? No. Remember, we used pivot tables for like categories, like favorite color, or favorite band, or favorite chocolate bar, or whatever, when there's not that many of them, like red, green, blue, yellow, or Van Halen, Styx, Aerosmith, whatever. There's just a couple of categories, and we want to know whose favorite is who. But with this list, this is not set up nicely for a categorical frequency distribution. It sets up nicely for a grouped frequency distribution, specifically with 5 classes. Now listen, you do not have to type in the years. Those are just for reference for you sports fans. But no, we're just interested in the victory totals themselves. Okay, and then once you do a grouped frequency distribution, on that same page, I want you to construct a vertical column chart of your frequencies. Make sure it is titled and put it on the same page as your frequency distribution. And then make a little box right next to those 2 things of your mean, median, mode, and mid-range. Please round all decimals to 1 decimal place for those items. And then in a small box on that same page, I want you to find the variance and standard deviation. Please round variance to 3 places and round your standard deviation to 1 place. There will be a drop box on Canvas. Submit it by the end of the block, and you're good to go. Do as much as you can. Try to find that proper mix between, working on it yourself just to try to train yourself for the test, because quite frankly, the test questions will look a lot like this. Try to find that good mix between doing the work alone versus, okay, I forget how to do this, and then get a little help. There can definitely be some dialogue amongst you. That's okay. It's not a quiz or anything. But again, I would try to help yourself prepare for the test. Now, a couple things I want to show you, and I've just, these are not the win totals from the previous pages. I've just done some random previous totals. Remember, with a grouped frequency distribution, the first thing you do is you want to sort the data from highest to lowest. And then you've got this little workstation here. What did we do? We took the greatest win total minus the smallest win total and divided by, what was this number we divided by? It was the number of classes. And for your problem, it's going to be 5. I'll just pretend I want, I'll just say 3 classes for this problem. And you always round up. So this will give you your range. Remember doing this? So my range is 3. So where did we actually start to construct our frequency distribution? How did we start? The hint is where my cursor is. And you type in your smallest total, and then you add your range to every subsequent cell until you get however many classes you want. In my case, it was 3. In your case, it's going to be 5. Okay? I don't know why this funky 5's over there and that 8's over there. You can highlight these and kind of get them in the middle. That's fine. Now, what do we do next? Remember, we clicked on and did a little, this is our ranges. We clicked behind and did some dashes. I did something wrong. 8 plus 3 is not 10, it's 11. Holy cow. So that'd be 8 to 10. And then 11 to, you can go to your highest total, or you can just stay consistent with whatever you're adding by. Whatever you do, just make sure it encompasses that highest total. In this case, it would be great to do the 11-13. Now remember, sometimes Google Sheets thinks you put in dates here. So they're reading that as like May 7th and August 10th and November 13th. The fix is to either put spaces in between your dashes and numbers, or you can do a little 1, 2, 3 and click on plain text. Just make sure I didn't undo it there. So plain text will remove the date stuff. Now, I want to know how many times did this team win between 5 and 7 games? How many times did they win between 8 and 10? How many times did they win between 11 and 13? There's one little step you had to do out here. Remember, you had to put your greatest totals, your upper limits, right? Your upper limits. Okay, and then, then the magic step occurred. The magic step. I'm going to go through this pretty quick because I'm going to make you kind of do this. Okay. Now, real quick, here's where we're having some trouble. And of course, you'll put a border around this, and you'll make it nice and fancy for me, and do all kinds of, you do your color and center your numbers, and I don't know why that says 7.0. You can remove decimal places. Now, to do a chart, how did we do a chart in 12.2? How do we do a chart? A lot of people yesterday were doing this and highlighting this and putting in a chart. Look what happens when you do that. I want a column chart. Looks like the column chart's going to give you something like this. No, that's not right. That's not a picture of how many times they won between 5 and 7 games and how many times they won between 8 and 10 games. That gives you their win totals per year. No. So click your 3 dots here. If you want to ever delete a chart, just click your 3 dots here and delete it. No, remember the day we did that assignment? They gave you the frequency distributions. The homework gave you the frequency distributions. So we highlighted this. And then you click on chart, and then you can go to a column chart. And there's how many times they won between 5 and 7 games. And there's how many times they won between 8 and 10 and 11 and 13. So highlight your pivot or your frequency distribution, not your number of wins, to get your chart. And then you can do your mean, median, mode right there. You can do your standard deviation variance right there. All right, I think that covers all the questions. Good luck, due by the end of the block.